everyone, it's Allison. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a card from the brand new release from Simon Says Stamp. This is the October release, which is called Season of Wonder. And I'm going to have lots of fun cards to share with you over the next few weeks, but we are going to start with this one. This is one of my favorite cards that I have made with the new products, and you can see there's ink cubes. So there is a set, actually there's a couple new sets of ink cubes. I'm going to show you the green ones in this video. And like all the ink cube sets from Simon that they've been releasing, there are 6. The bottom trio was more of a Kelly green. We're going to be using this other trio, which is going to be perfect for these trees. And speaking of trees, here is the Fresh Air Holiday Tree Set. You can see it has matching dies. And this is a layering stamp set. So you can see on the back of the packaging, there's a guide to show you how to layer things up. All right, so we are going to get started with our stamping. And I have my mini MISTI with my grip mat inside. And I'm going to rub the back of my stamp. You're going to see me doing that a lot. That's just to condition a brand new stamp to make sure it stamps well. We are going to start with the lightest color of ink. This is Aspen. Again, this is from the new set of green inks. And they're so pretty. Now, when I stamp with ink cubes, I tend to rotate them in order to avoid any harsh lines that they might leave on the stamp. Because this is a layering stamp, it doesn't really matter, but that's just kind of my habit when using ink cubes, especially if stamps have somewhat of a solid area. All right, my first tip for layering stamp sets: don't stress out. A lot of layering stamp sets are very forgiving, and do a practice run first. That's what I'm doing here. So my second color of ink for my second layer is Sage ink. And, like I said, I'm just doing a practice run here. So I had just put a scrap of paper onto my grip mat, just to see what the tree looks like, how it layers up. So now we're on our third and last layer for the tree, and I'm going to use my darkest color. And again, you see me rubbing the back of my stamp. And this is the Pine ink, the darkest color. And I just love this trio of inks. It's just, like I said, it's just perfect for trees. So there we are. Okay, so now I have the matching die. And I'm trying to line it up, but this is a layering stamp set, and it's kind of very freeform stamp set. So you can see there's some white space at the bottom. So my second tip: die cut first and then stamp when you have layering stamps, because you don't always know whether they're going to line up with the die. So now I have cut a piece of white paper out with the die, put it on my grip mat, and now I'm going to stamp that first stamp. And it's just easier to line the stamp up with the die. So again, I'm using the same color inks that I used before. And it's great having my grip mat in my MISTI to hold this die cut, because I would not have room to put, hold that die cut with a magnet when I'm using these stamps. So again, I'm coming in with the second stamp, and it's just easy to line the stamp up with the die. But again, a lot of layering stamps are very forgiving. They don't have to be perfect. A lot of them aren't meant to be perfect. This tree is a great example. You don't have to use the matching die, and so you could layer these up, very loosely, and you'd get a different tree every time. So again, lining up this third layer, and I will stamp it with that darkest color of Pine. And just really easy. All right, so now I'm going to show you a comparison of the one that I stamped before die cutting on the right. And you'll see there's just kind of a little empty white space at the bottom of that first one, but it's no big deal. I think that one turned out perfectly fine. All right, I'm adding anti-static powder to this tree because I'm going to come in with one of the other stamps from the set. And again, rubbing the back of it. Now, this stamp adds, well, I'm treating it like little snowdrops or snowflakes. I guess it could be Christmas lights if you wanted it to be. But I am going to stamp it with VersaMark ink, and then I'm going to emboss it with white embossing powder because, like I said, I want these little dots to be snowflakes on my trees. So I am using Gina K white embossing powder. This is kind of my go-to white embossing powder. This is the fine detail embossing powder, by the way. And there we go. There's the little tree with the little snowflakes on it. All right, so now let's make some other colors of trees. I'm using the Heather ink. These purples are part of the Purple Fields purple set. And again, it was a set of 6 colors of purple inks. All right, so my next tip is experiment with different colors when you're using layering stamps. You don't normally see purple trees outside, right? But look how beautiful that is. I just think layering stamps are just the perfect time to experiment. So here we are with the Iris ink. This is the darkest of the 3 colors. And I just love it. I love how that turned out. All right, so let's do another weird color of tree. We're going to use orange this time. And my first color is melon. This was part of the Yellow Sunsets ink cube set. The other 3 colors in that set were yellows. And so here's my second color. This is cantaloupe. And by the way, my last tip, always follow the guides that come with your layering stamp sets. They're there for a reason. You know, for instance, this stamp set showed you which stamp to use with your lightest color. So it's just really helpful. And, you know, most layering stamp sets that I know of come with guides like that. All right, so I've added my little snowflakes to the other trees. And now I have this panel that I have embossed with the Circle Hoops embossing folder. This came out a few months ago. And what I'm going to do is just ink blend the edges of this panel. And I have a full size of this Heather ink. Remember, this was the lightest color that I had used on that purple tree. And I'm just going to do some simple ink blending along the edges. Now I have my mini water media mat from Waffle Flower. You usually see me using my mini stencil mat. This is just what I grabbed. I actually keep them in the same drawer right next to me, so whatever I grab first. So again, just really simple ink blending mostly along the corners because I want most of the panel to stay white. So now I'm just arranging my trees now that the ink has dried back a little bit. And I decided I really just want to darken up that ink. So I'm coming in a second time to just make it a little bit darker. And there we go. So now we can start assembly. I've already attached that panel to a white top folding card base. This is a 2-sized. And by the way, I meant to add another die cut behind this purple tree just to lift it off the card base a little bit. I had forgotten to do that. I did do it with these two. So the orange is doubled up. And I'm just going to glue that on top of the purple. Now for the green, you know, because I'm putting it on basically 2 different levels, I'm going to add some foam tape. So I'm adding thin foam squares on the back where it's going to sit on top of the purple tree. And I went through like pretty much every foam tape in my drawer and every foam square to figure out what foam tape would work on the bottom. And of course it ended up that the best one was my yellow yucky Scotch foam tape. I really need to order another roll of the Big Mama foam tape from Simon Says Stamp. Last time I went to order, it was out of stock, but I think it's back in stock now. So this yellow tape from, you've seen me use it before, my roll of Scotch tape, it's almost gone. So, all right. So now we are going to stamp the sentiments from this stamp set. And I just have a scrap of black cardstock, and I want to try to get all of these sentiments on the same scrap. So I'm using the dies because I am going to die cut these sentiments. I'm using the dies as a guide to make sure that all these stamps will fit and that I'll be able to die cut them once I stamp them. So again, as usual, you see me rubbing the back because these are brand new stamps. And I'll just position the stamp inside the die, and then I'll just pick up the stamp with the lid of my MISTI. Again, this is my mini MISTI. And there we go. I'm positioning the die for the third stamp. And, you know, they all fit. And that way I can just stamp them all at once, which is a time saver. So I'm going to come in with my anti-static powder tool again. And again, like before, we're going to use VersaMark ink and my white embossing powder. And I am a double stamper, so of course I'm coming in a second time. And we're going to use the same Gina K fine detail embossing powder. Now, because these letters are they're kind of thicker than what you would normally see. By the way, I'm using my pick just to pick away some stray embossing powder. This pick is just invaluable to me every time I make a card. All right, so like I was saying, the letters on this are kind of wide or thick, or thicker than you would normally see in this size font. So I'm going to heat from behind. I don't usually do that in videos, but you'll see I'm coming and I'm heating from behind. And that's because heating from behind really results in a smoother finish. And right here, by the way, you see me wiping off the excess anti-static powder. And now I am going to die cut. And I have created a template out of the die first. And I just die cut it from white paper. I kind of trimmed it down. And now I'm going to place that template on my sentiment and tape it down. And then the die itself will just kind of pop right into that opening. And this is just the best way to make sure that when you die cut a sentiment, it die cuts perfectly. I say perfectly a lot. Nothing is perfect, right? It doesn't have to be. All right, so now I'm testing these sentiments and realize the bigger sentiments really look better under the tree. So I am going to go with the smaller sentiment. Now to attach it, I'm going to use these thin foam squares that are actually black. You see me use the white thin foam squares a lot in my videos. I often forget that I have the black ones, but they're perfect for using under black sentiments. So here is the final card. And I really love it. I think these trees are so beautiful. And again, the orange and purple are not traditional colors for trees, but I really love how they look. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give me a like, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel as well. Thanks a lot, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.